I wanted to do a comparison between the second generation Lakewood HV18s and the fourth generation from the mid-2000s. These are both from the 90s, and they're very similar. This one right here has a Samsung motor, and this is rated at, I think, 1.7 amps. Yeah, 1.7 amps. And this one has a Macmillan motor that's rated at 2.4 amps. These are both PSC motors. Another difference, the blades are a little bigger on this one. I think this is an earlier one, earlier 90s. Blades are bigger, and as you can see, they actually overlap each other. This one, the blades are a little bit smaller. They don't overlap each other. This is the same blade set that was used on the late 90s ones, which are the third generation HV18s, and I've got a few of those too, so this will be representing both the second gen and the third gen Lakewood HV18s. Both have the same housing on the back. The third gen ones don't have that housing, they just have the switch on the top up here, so that's one of the differences. And then of course here we have the fourth generation one. This is from 2005. These are the Chinese made ones. They're still pretty decent fans. They move a lot of air, but they're not quite as reliable as these Macmillan motors and the Samsung motors are. There's still a ton of these out there. You can find them on eBay. These are pretty good motors. Yeah, these were made in USA. Of course, so are the third gen ones. And right here I have a first generation HV18. This one is from the 70s. It has a 5 amp Westinghouse shaded pull motor. That thing moves some serious air, and it's very well built. But I have made videos comparing this to the 90s versions, so if you want to see that, go look on my channel. You can check that out. I have this kind of oddball fan. It has mismatched grills. This is a Lakewood SPC LT12. It is a different variant. It's not an HV12. This one also has a Samsung PSC motor. It's got a ton of pitch, as you can see. It's very powerful for a 12-inch fan. And it's got that same switch housing. So this one, I didn't mention it yet, has a 2.5 amp PSC motor, and I'm not exactly sure how reliable these motors were. I know that I've heard of a few of them failing, but of course that was on the 21-inch version, which has a 3 amp motor, but I'm not exactly sure about the 2.5 amp on the 18-inch version. It does have aluminum blades, of course. These are both steel blade sets, but the pitch is pretty good still on these, and the build quality is pretty good as well. These are definitely not as thin, or the wires on the cage are not as thin as some of the ones, most of the ones that you can buy today. Currently, well, I don't even know if they make those anymore, but the Air King 9218 that I have, which were for sale up until recently. I don't know if they're still making them or not, but those are very well built as well, and I'll probably do a comparison video with that. But here's the back of the motor. I don't think these run very hot at all. They have very good airflow through the motor, and I think this flange or plate or whatever you want to call it that's part of the motor housing helps dissipate a lot of heat. So I don't think these are bad motors at all. These did come with grounded cords. Of course, the grounding pin is broken off, and it's got a cord wrap, but it's not very long at all. I would like that, to be a little bit longer. This one, I think I said it already, is from 2005. It's got very good difference between speeds, which is something that I always liked about the older ones from the 90s. Is both of these, the Macmillan and the Samsung motors, have very good difference between speeds, and these are both extremely powerful fans. I think the most powerful fan I have is probably that Patton U2 1872 right there, with that huge General Electric motor. These are right up there with it. I mean, these things are crazy powerful. This one, maybe not quite as powerful, but it's very close to these two. It's definitely up there, you know, with the good ones. So yeah, it's got one of those Lakewood branded motors. I'm not exactly sure who manufactured those for Lakewood, or maybe if they were made in their own factory, I don't know. But I have taken that apart, cleaned it out, and oiled it, so it's all good. I've taken this one apart, cleaned it out, and oiled it. This one, of course, has oil ports on it, which is something that's nice about the Macmillan motors. The Samsung motor, I have not taken this one apart yet, but it has a very good spin down time, so I don't really think it needs oil right now. These don't have oil ports, but they last a very long time anyway with the factory lubrication. So when it does start getting a little bit stiff, I'll take it apart, clean it out, and oil it. I don't really use this fan very much. So yeah, these are built very well. These cages are extremely sturdy on both of them, and that carries over to the third generation ones. And when I'm talking about the third generation ones, if you don't know what I'm saying, I'm talking about the ones with the Pepsi style badge on them. That would be the third gen. And of course the industrial commercial version of that one, which I have as well. These 90s ones have much longer cords, as you can see, than this one does, which is nice. You don't have to worry about having to use an extension cord as much. You can see that these Samsung motors are really well built. You can see how thick that stator is. Macmillan motors are pretty beefy as well. Stator isn't quite as thick, but it's really not. I don't think that's really a big deal. Yeah. We'll do a performance test of these in just a second. And obviously, I don't have much room up here right now. I'm going to have to put some of these on the floor when I'm testing them, so stay tuned. Okay, since the one with the Samsung motor is the earliest out of all the ones that I have right here, I am going to start off with it. We will start up on high. Actually, first let me hook the kilowatt meter up. We're testing on 119.3 volts. It's usually around 120 here, but we got some air conditioners running upstairs, so it's pulling the voltage down a little bit. Alright, and here we go. Let's go up to high. Very, very powerful. There's our amp draw. Pretty amazing how efficient these Samsung motors are. Because this thing is moving a ton of air. You can see it's actually shaking because it's moving so much air. Very sweet pitch on the blades. I'm getting a strong breeze all the way on the other end of the basement pretty much. And it's really not that loud, it's pretty quiet. This blade design, because of the fact that they overlap, is naturally a quieter type of blade. Go down to medium. Here's what we're pulling now. And low. And as you can hear, we get a nice drop in RPMs. It's definitely a lot quieter. Amp draw really doesn't change that much between speeds on this motor. Still putting off a nice powerful breeze. You can definitely still feel it all the way over here, and it's really very quiet. thing has a very long spin down time. Very good bearings in this motor. And when it stops, I'm going to show what the amp draw is when it comes up to speed. Alright, here we go, coming up to high. Alright, now we have the one with the Macmillan plugged in. The pitch is about the same for both of them. I think it's actually exactly the same, so this one is going to be just as powerful. We'll start off on high. Again, it's crazy powerful. Shaking back and forth just like the last one was. Nice strong breeze all the way over here. And it's pretty quiet too. Medium. And low. Nice quiet low speed. It's one of the things I really like about these Macmillan motors. They have very good speed difference. And considering the crazy steep pitch that this thing has, it still blows a ton of air even when it's on low. Alright, so there's that one. Here is the amp draw on the Macmillan coming up to high. This one had a grounded plug as well, but the thing broke off. The newer version of this one is definitely flimsier and doesn't move as much air as this one does. And has a much smaller motor. The latest version of the HV18s they made has a 0.9 amp PSC motor, so it's definitely not as powerful as this one is. And last but not least, we have the 2005 Lakewood HV18 with the 2.5 amp PSC motor. Alright, let's go up to high. It's got good power, but it's not quite as powerful as the older ones. I can still feel it back here, but the breeze definitely isn't quite as strong. Medium. And low. And as you can hear, it's got a very nice quiet low speed, which is something that a lot of fans made these days don't have. Which really sucks, but yeah, this thing has a very nice speed range. It's definitely a lot tamer on low than the other two as far as airflow is concerned. Certainly is a very high performance motor. And it doesn't take quite as long to stop because that blade is a lot lighter than the steel blades on those. Let's do amp draw coming up to high. Alright, and I think as a bonus I will include the first generation one. I do have a Lakewood HV18 that's even newer than this one. It's one of the last ones they made. I don't have it here with me at this location, but I have made a video of it before. So if you want to see it, you can check out my channel. But I do have pretty much all generations of the HV18. And here we have the first generation HV18 from the 1970s. Has a nice long grounded cord as well. And tons of pitch on those blades, that's for sure. It's got a 5 amp Westinghouse shaded pull motor with oil ports. These also came with General Electric shaded pull motors and Samsung PSC motors. So there are a few different options available with these. Starts off on high, speed controls on the bottom. So I will go ahead and let's go up to high. Very strong even all the way over here, and it's not very loud either. The blades overlap on this one as well. There's medium. And low. This one doesn't have a real quiet low speed like those do, but there's still a decent difference between speeds. This is a very sturdy, well-built fan, and it's still shiny, which is pretty cool. Steel blade set, of course. And here we are going up to high. So that'll do it for this Lakewood comparison. I'm probably going to do the same thing with the Patents because I have pretty much every generation of those too.